All right, welcome back to Snap Publishing, where we discuss the secrets of Edward Leeds Scanlon's Coral Castle, how it pertains to the biblical narrative, the periodic table of elements, the zodiac, and DNA. All right, so I'm going to start out a little strange today. I'm going to show you my college degree for what it's worth. And here's my honorable discharge and my GED. Because I never graduated. I went in the Army at 17. Went in the Army at 17 and never looked back. I loved it. Probably should have stayed in, but I got out. But the reason I'm showing you those, and I covered up the colleges, I'm not affiliated with them. I don't need you bothering them. I don't speak for them, and they don't speak for me. When you leave an organization, hopefully on good terms, that's how it should be. Okay? They were very good people. I learned a lot. And we're going to get into the title, which is Bruce Lee in the Book of Enoch and Mystical Babylon. A bit of an attention grabber to get your attention focused in here. I want to start out by explaining Bruce Lee taught a couple people. Danny Inosanto, who choreographed a lot of Batman movies, early Batman. Paul Vunak, and Paul Vunak's star student was a guy named Joe Maffei. I met Joe. A friend of mine owned a martial arts studio, and Joe would come in and do seminars, one-day seminars. And I was very thankful to have met Joe Maffei in that context, because Joe's the kind of guy you'd look at and say, if you had a group fight like we used to get into in the 70s and the 80s, we used to pick out the guy that we wanted to fight. Or you'd see a guy pointing at you and you'd say, okay. So you knew that guy pointing at you wanted to square off with you. Something about you he didn't like. So Joe is the kind of guy that everyone would point to and say, oh, I'm going to get this guy. And he would bust you in little pieces. Very unassuming man. I'm like, thank God I didn't meet this guy in a road rage in traffic, because I definitely wouldn't have seen him coming. So Paul Vunak is a real person. Joe is a real person. Danny, Bruce, it's legit. I didn't just make these people up. Now, I'm bringing this up to obviously make a point. When it gets into early church history, these people that served under John, Peter, Paul, those were the original apostles. They had students that they passed on the knowledge to very late in their lives, right before they were killed or whatever, martyred. Polycarp of Smyrna is probably one of the most famous. Ignatius of Antioch, Irenaeus of Lyons, he was taught by John directly and influenced by Polycarp. Okay? Polycarp they tried to burn him at the stake and he wouldn't burn, so they stabbed him to death, supposedly. Do I believe that? Yes. So, just like I showed you the flow chart of people who came from Bruce Lee, these are the people, the church fathers, that established the church. And it was through these men's hard work that King James was able to have his men create the King James Bible, where they organized all the canonical books. Now, if you look at Da Vinci's Mona Lisa, you know the Mona Lisa didn't have a cigarette in her mouth. You know she wasn't holding a cell phone. It's a no-brainer. So to discuss, hey, I want to sell this to you for $100 million. It's the real Mona Lisa, and she's got a cigarette in her mouth. An imbecile would go, yeah, that's not the real thing. That's a caricature. But here we are in 2025 bringing up the same old BS over and over and over ad nauseum. This book of Enoch. The book of Enoch is non-canonical. It's a waste of your time. And if you follow what I'm teaching about the periodic table being the mirror image of it, the double image, being equaling the written word of God in its entirety, you'll understand the forgery. And you'll be able to pick out these books. They're saying, oh, these are mystical books, man. They were excluded from the Bible. You got to remember, when the Bible was penned, when it was organized, and it was given, the printing press occurred. The man created the printing press. The first thing they printed were Bibles. And academics boo the Bible. They say, oh, the Bible's all crap. If it was crap, it wouldn't have been the first book ever published off a printing press. Use your brain. Those people in those high academic societies are lying to you. They're deceivers. Just like these people saying, hey man, you got to read the book of Enoch if you really want the insight. No. It's non-canonical. Polycarp said it's crap. Remember Mike Myers? If it's not Scottish, it's crap. That's who these guys were. All things Scottish, all things Bible. If it ain't here, it's crap. And then you get these super people like I said, Jehovah's Nitwits. Oh, the book of Hebrews, it's not a canonical book. Yes, it is. And as a matter of fact, they don't like that book because it condemns their religion. We've already covered it. We're going to move on. So, one of the reasons I got out of being a Roman Catholic, first of all, in the 80s, they didn't know anything about the Bible. Knowing about the Bible is the equivalent of, I don't see it readily available, but it's the United States Constitution. I have one around here somewhere. If you can't understand the U.S. Constitution, you're lost, man. They're going to sell you a bill of goods that is all forgeries and lies. It's the same thing with knowing Scripture, understanding the way the Bible works. Understanding that there were epochs, times in history where God dealt with humans different. Imbeciles today say, oh, the Bible says if your hand offends you, cut it off. No, it does not. You dum-dum. Have some gum, dum-dum. It does not say that. Jesus said back in the Old Testament days, that is the way that they thought. Today, we have a totally different system under the dispensation of grace. We're about to change. The clock is going to strike 12 very soon, and we're going to be in a different dispensation. That's why I tell you, you better pay attention, because the zodiac is going from Pisces, Christianity, back to Judaism and temple sacrifice. Okay? And do they get it right in the beginning? No, they do not. It's a complete faceplant. They're going to get it all blanked up like humans always do. And then it gets back on track. So the bottom line is you have to instantaneously know, okay, anyone who's talking this book of Enoch, and there's other books too. Oh, these secret, mystical, missing books of the Bible that all these real staunch jerks cut out. And they shouldn't have. They should have left it in there. Wrong. If Polycarp and Ignatius and all those men said, yeah, we're not signing off on that, you should be thankful. That means that Leonardo and Michelangelo looked at the Mona Lisa with the cigarette and says, yeah, we're not signing off on that. Use your brain, people. For every really good thing that happens, there's going to be a million forgeries and lies and deceptions. And that's Christianity in a nutshell. And we've gone over this ad nauseum. Ad nauseum. And it's a waste of time to even mention this. But we're going to mention it anyway because it brings us to several points. So I like to say, you can take the butcher's word for it or shove your head up that cow's ass. I don't care. You can keep bringing up bad theology and wasting time by arguing the Mona Lisa has a cigarette or a cell phone. all you want. It's a colossal waste of time. Learn to recognize those like me with things like this. They're called degrees. They're called honorable discharges. They're called 25 years IBEW, made it, still have all my fingers and toes, both my eyes, both my ears. Didn't burn them off up in the power lines. At some point, you have to say, yeah, this guy's probably got his act together. And these people that are telling you, hey, man, smoke some ayahuasca, do DMT, man, and read the book of Enoch, you may as well just be sitting watching vegetative TV all day about Sasquatch and Mothman and all this political BS that is not going to earn you $1 in your life. It's not going to get you on track spiritually. This diagram here enables you to step by step understand the 1/3 that stayed with Lucifer, rebelling against God, and the 2/3 that stayed with God. The 3 down here outside the temple, and the other 2, the 6 and the 9, inside the temple. Adam and Eve before the fall, Adam and Eve after the fall. Unforgiven, forgiven. Lilith stays outside the temple, ladies. Hate to break it to you. Hate to break it. Oh, boo-hoo-hoo. I hate this man. Well, tough, because that's what the book says. It says Lilith, which is lithium, stays outside the temple. She's unclean. She refuses to do what is necessary to get into the Holy of Holies and the holy place. Holy place, then Holy of Holies. So, let's go here. You are wasting time trying to defend the indefensible. The book of Enoch is a waste of your time. Okay? A lot of the analogies that are in there, the Cabal was behind a lot of that. And the old world understanding of things, which, like I say, there's 2 religions, main religions in the world today, that are literally worshiping Lucifer, who is now Satan. And they say, oh no, we follow Jehovah or Yahweh, or we follow, what do you call it, Allah. Do you know who those people are? Do you have a scientific breakdown of YHWEH, YAHWEH, the Zodiac, and who Allah is? The center point, right here. There's those of you who have it right, and there's those of you who have it wrong. A lot of the people who have it right, they don't understand Scripture. They don't even know that why they have it right. And these other people are radical lunatics, murderers, assassins. And they're following this Luciferian doctrine. And they know what they're doing. The others who are living right and just want to get along, they're still involved in that. They just don't know they are. I'm here to tell you, if you're outside the temple, you're not living right. You're not in God's will. You're following lithium, hydrogen 1, protium, who is Lucifer, who became Satan. And the pyramid in Egypt, they call the Great Pyramid, is H1, protium, lithium. Satan, the great Satan. That's why Muslims are flushing their nose to blow out Satan's in their nose, because their culture goes so far back that they saw that building blowing snot out the main door. When that geyser underneath that building blew, all the stuff blew out of that building, and they witnessed it. And that goes so far back that it was carried into their modern beliefs. They bow in the morning to Mecca, and they flush their sinus because Satan lives in our nose. The prophet says Satan lives. And people go, why is that? I'm telling you why. Because it represents the great Satan. This nose, you notice it's like a little triangle? So this is why I say you have to pay attention to the fine structure. And you have to tell your own people, hey, you know, we might be following the wrong God. How's that? Because at one point, Lucifer was good. The Great Pyramid was great. That's why I call it the once great pyramid. But today it's not. It's the Great Satan. And we may actually inadvertently be following that guy. You are. We can't be serving the devil. We're serving Yahweh. We're serving Jehovah. Yes, but in the old system. You haven't gone into the new system. You're stuck on stupid. That's why Song of Songs, Song of Solomon is SOS. You're stuck on stupid. You're still in the old world when Lucifer was God's buddy. Because you exist out in the outer court where the threes are. And the local 33 guys that are always telling you things in threes, oh, they're obsessed with those threes. CIA, MI5, MI6, KGB. Wink, wink. Oh, look, we got our little secret decoder ring. We're somebody. We're joiners, man. We join this group that's bigger than ourselves. Because you got no self-esteem. You have low self-esteem. You have low self-respect. That's why you became a joiner. Yeah. You're not self-identical. You're not like in the book of Job where God says, be a man, stand up. Abase everyone who is proud. You ain't there yet. You're still a baby. Because you join these organizations. And these organizations keep you stupid. So anyway, they're obsessed with the threes. Okay, and I do talk about the 9, 6, and 3. You say, oh, you're doing it. I'm bringing you, just like Jesus said, I come in the whole volume of the book. I'm telling you about the alkali earth metals, the poor metals, the semi-metals, the non-metals, and noble gases. And then the lower second and third stories in the lanthanide and actinide series. I'm showing you the mirror image. This building right here, they're showing you the one half of it. You notice that? The old 33 boys, stuck on 3, stuck on stupid, the stuck on stupids. Yeah, they're showing you the half of it. I'm giving you the whole enchilada, which your Christian ministers didn't do because they joined them, guys. Shh, don't tell anyone they joined them. They couldn't beat them, so they joined them. They weren't alphas. They became betas. Yeah, okay. They did the little monkey paw. Okay. Yes, Mr. Academic, we must have come from monkeys. John Wilkes Booth, Lee Harvey Oswald, so obsessed with threes. DMT, dimethyltryptamide or triptolide or whatever it is. They're obsessed with the 3. Guys, move on. 666 is our number. 999, even better. You're getting into the Holy of Holies now. The 333 outside the temple. Bye-bye, you don't belong here. You're the Great Satan. You used to be the Great Pyramid. Now you're the Great Satan. If I'm serving Allah, I'm going to serve the 9, not the 3. I'm not going to call a 3 a 9. Look at your periodical order. You'll see it. I'm saying, oh, we follow Allah. You're saying you think with your balls? You think with your penis? You think with a vagina? You think with your ovaries? That's what you're saying. Allah is supposed to be here, folks. Yahweh is supposed to be here. Jehovah is supposed to be here and here. So if your organization is stuck in the past, they're down here, people. That's the devil. And this is scientifically showing you this chart again. This chart shows you the step-by-step. You're either inside the temple or you're outside the temple. There's no arguing with the PDT, periodic table. I call it the PDT. Somebody's going to find fault with that, I'm sure. But I type that word a lot, or that phrase. So I just abbreviate. PDT. Period, PD, temple. The periodic temple. All right. And by the way, like I say, I broke down that the feet of the temple, alkali metal salts, the middle section where there's water above that you don't see that, but that's where the earth expanded and the oceans grew, because we used to be a moon. We weren't a planet. We started out as a little moon. Now we're big. All right. You say, what'll happen in the end times? Are we going to be consumed by the sun? No, we might turn into a bigger planet. The earth might split at the seams again. The earth might give birth like it did with Antarctica. That's Rachel dying in childbirth with Benjamin. He got stuck in her vagina. She named him and then she croaked. It could have been Australia, we don't know, or New Zealand. I'm thinking it's Antarctica. All the other continents, yeah, those were Leah. Once you realize what the Bible's actually saying, these women represent the earth at different points where the continents were being created. Yes. Don't want to go in there. We already covered that. All right, so not only is it the periodic table, but it's periodic table with also the heavens where the stars and planets are, and the zodiac, and the way it all comes together. I don't want to forget to mention that. But Enoch is technetium, element 43. Was Enoch a real person? Yes, Enoch was a real person. Technetium is not found naturally on Earth. Same with Elijah. That's promethium, element 61. This temple graphic that I'm showing you, they didn't understand that. Now you know by looking at this, yeah, a lot of that cabal, or I call it, what do you call it? Klingon or Vulcan? What is it? There were the Klingons, the Vulcans, and the Romulans. Kaplak. You call it Cabal or Kabbalah. I call it Kaplak. It's a joke. You got to know Star Trek to know what it means. So you'll see their imperfect science. When you read those books, you realize they're trying to explain the astronomical events, okay? And their description of the elements is very poor. So whoever wrote those documents, they're piss poor forgeries. It's the Mona Lisa with a cigarette in her mouth. This is why I got away from being a Roman Catholic. They included the Deuteronicals Apocrypha, which I call the Deuteronicals Apostate. It's a bunch of gobbledygook that was stuck in the middle of the Bible. And Polycarp, all these early church fathers said, yeah, we're not signing off on those. And that church, the Roman church, had a lot of power. They said, we don't care. We're overriding you. We're putting it in anyway. And one of their lame excuses was, oh, 666 is from the devil. We can't have a Bible with 66 books like King James. That's demonic. No, it's not. That is our number. Okay, and I'll get into, there's a scripture in the book of Kings or 2 Kings. It says Solomon got gold every year, and it was 666 talents or whatever of gold. And people say, see, that's evil, man. No, it's not. No, it ain't. Still wrong. That's our number. It's the holy place right here. The 666 is right here, folks. The 999 is here. The 333 are the ones that are telling you those lies. Because they're outside the temple. They're outside of God's will. They exist in the mirror form over here. The complete mirror opposite. of reality. Okay? The perfect four square of God's temple, New Jerusalem, yeah, theirs is based in the city of Enoch, which is Egypt, the three pyramid complex with the Sphinx. Yeah, that's the city of Enoch that Cain built. That's one of them. There's more than one. That area, Giza, which means geyser, which represents your crotch, that's a man's geyser. The Pison River, that's where you piss from. It's where you do your little pee-pee. All right? That building is placed over that. Oh, it's the Great Pyramid. Not really, when you put it in that context. So, I have explained in a previous video, the original Garden of Eden, E-D-E-N, is actually N-E-E-D. That is Antarctica. That is where Adam was taken from a certain place and put into Antarctica. Was not from there. Placed in there. Now, his wife and children can say, yeah, we grew up in Antarctica. Adam can't. So where was Adam created? Probably in Egypt. Probably in the sarcophagus of the Great Pyramid. Don't know. Very good guess, though. Very good, educated guess. So, Genesis 4:17, chapter 4, verse 17. Cain built Enoch, or the city of Enoch. Okay? That technically represents the other imaginary side of the periodic table temple graphic that I keep showing you. Okay? Like I said, that represents the 3, 6, the 9, 6, and 3 of that is the false prophet, beast, and the dragon. On this side here, it's Father, Son, and Spirit. Depends which half you're in. We already covered that. Different video. All right. Why were Enoch's numbers 365? He lived 365 years, produced a son, very important guy named Methuselah. Means after this guy dies, that's when the great flood is coming. 365 is slightly short of 369, isn't it? Yes, it is. 963 that Nikola Tesla talked about, the 369. Why is this 365? Because 5 represents the half line. The half line on your body. Crown chakra, pineal, heart chakra, groin, sacral chakra, feet, the 5 chakras, or the 3, the main 3, 369. This 5 represents 4 shy. That 4 is an important number. You look on the ATGC, almond tree, golden candlestick inside the holy place. Right on the center, there's 4 flames. God's holy city is what? 4 square. 4 is a very important number, and they left that 4 out. When Cain built that city, it's contrary to God's perfection. In other words, it's created by men. It's gonna fail. It's gonna blow up. So, this ties into mystical Babylon, by the way. Oh, where's mystical Babylon? We've already covered it. Enoch's name is mentioned about 11 times in the Bible. So these people, these advocates of, the Book of Enoch, you got to read the Book of Enoch. Oh, the Book of Enoch. It's not really a big deal. Yes, he was an important figure. Yes, he does represent technetium. Promethium, technetium do not exist on Earth naturally. They are the 2 olive trees that stand before God in heaven on either side. If you look at in Revelation where there were 7 flames, 7 candlesticks, 7 candles, and Jesus moved in and out of them, and they represent the 7 ministers of the 7 churches. That's 14. 7 and 7. Okay? Now you can look at it 7 different ways. You can say 7 and 7, that's 14. With a 1 in the middle, that's 15. It's a 1 and a 5, it's a 6. Or you can say it's a 6 and a 6. Or rather, yeah. It would be, it's kind of difficult to explain. So it would be a 6, 6, and then the half plus God in the center. So that gets a little technical. I won't get into it. But people always say, oh, Jacob had 12 kids. No, he had a daughter. That's 13. Oh, there's 12 tribes of Israel. No. Very difficult to explain to new people. What's his name? Reuben. Jacob cursed him, and he said, we're getting rid of Reuben, and I'm taking on Ephraim and Manasseh. So now you're getting into more than 12 tribes, right? Yes, you are. Plus the girl, who they didn't recognize because they didn't listen to the book of Job, where it says the women are now part of this. That male system in ancient Israel excluded Dinah. Oh, she was a slut. She ended up getting raped. Don't care. God didn't care. I don't care. Stop caring. Oh, women are all sluts today. They're on OF. Don't care. Do care about people getting right eventually. But from 0 to 25 years of age, most young people are imbeciles. They're childlike. They call it adult entertainment. It's not. You're acting like a baby, like a kid. And you haven't even gotten anything done in life. Yeah, but I'm a millionaire. I made money on OnlyFans. You're a nobody. You're a zip. Sorry, you're not impressing me. I got a Lambo. You got nothing. You're not impressing me. You haven't tapped into your real, true, self-identical self. You took the low-hanging fruit. You ran for the easy money. Hey, do you know how rich I could be if I robbed banks? What if I did stick-ups? What if I sold drugs? So now I'm a millionaire. I'm driving a Lambo, but I'm a drug dealer. Begins with an R. I go around abusing women. My title begins with an R. I won't say it because they'll do whatever. Yeah, you think I'm somebody? The world does. The world swoons after the pimps. But me? Yeah, I'm not impressed by you. I'm not impressed by somebody who can take something from somebody with a gun or because they have a badge. I'm a judge. I'm a cop. You're not impressing me. Do I respect the badge? As long as they are respectful. Do I salute officers in the Army? No. I salute the rank because I have to. If they said, yeah, you don't have to salute officers anymore, I wouldn't have saluted them. I would say, you got to earn my respect just like I have to earn your respect. We don't give away stuff here on earth. This is Sparta, man. Yeah, your title, your honor, that's debatable. Sorry to pop your bubble. Let some air out of your big head. You're a nobody. Same with your police who abuse the badge. You're abusing your badge? Yeah, you're not a cop. You're a robber. You're a con man with a badge. But you already know that. So we look at this whole, what's the big whoop with Enoch? There is no whoop with Enoch. You've been deceived by the great deceivers who painted the Mona Lisa with a cigarette and tried to sell it to you for $100 million as the real deal. Okay? The people who are obsessed with threes. I call them Local 33. Methuselah and David taking a city called Metheg-Amma. Methegama. David also took Mephibosheth, one of Saul's offspring, and rescued him out of poverty. DMT. David Mephibosheth took. DMT. David Methegama took. You see how it's in the biblical narrative, weaved in there? They're going to point that out to you and say, see, man, it's in the Bible. Not really. All right, let's go on. Psalm 40, chapter 40, verse 7. And Hebrews 10:7, Jesus saying, I come in the full volume of the book, or the volume of the book. It is written of me. He's saying not only all 6 sections of the periodic table, left to right, or right to left, but also the 2 halves of it. Okay? Not just the 1 half that the 3 people are showing you to deceive you. All right. People call me an apologetic, or a Gnostic. Gnostics believe God is a demiurge and inherently evil. So that is contrary to what I teach here. So don't believe those people. They're lying to you, and they know it. They know I've denounced Gnosticism because they're saying God is a demiurge. God is not a demiurge, and God was not created by a woman. Sophia, yeah. That's the opposite. That's these people, Local 33, out there at Lithium, telling you Lilith created God. No. God came from hydrogen. No. No. What about H1, H2, and H3? No. Not even connected to God. God lives way beyond that. We've already covered it. All right. Something I didn't cover in a previous episode, I want to touch on. The word M-O-D-E, mode, but also D-O-M-E. And people talk about, oh, flat earth, the dome. The tree of the knowledge of good and evil is the tree of gravity and energy. G and E translate very well into modern scientific terms. That tree of good is the tree of gravity. And the tree of evil is the tree of energy. So when you look at E equals MC squared, it's all in there. E to the power of I pi plus 1 equals 0, all in there. Okay? Evening and morning being one day if you extrapolate in that statement, the evening and the morning were one day, you get D-O-M-E. Day, one, morning, evening. Another thing is I talk about different waves. You got left, right waves like a rattlesnake, sidewinding down the sand of the desert. And then you got the sea serpent, the humps going up and down this way. Technically, you have this going like this. But you say the Great Pyramid, the King's Chamber's up top, and the hole where it's supposed to be doing its thing, yeah, because it's a toroid and it goes all the way around and comes in the bottom. And I don't want to get into the naughtiness of the bottom, because that's that black tantric that the Local 33 people try to sell you and tell you, see, it's in the Bible, it's okay. All right? That gets into very complex stuff. But that's a joke about why the penis, you look at the sarcophagus, and it's a Japanese pagoda, where the Ark of the Covenant was the balls, and the pagoda is the penis. So why is the vagina, why are the beans over the Franks? Why is the man going up like this, but his wife's underneath him? Depends how you look at that cutaway side graphic of the pyramid. I can show it to you both ways. But it's to say that if you're in the leadership position, the king can only F up. You get it? It's an old joke. When you're the king, when you're the lieutenant, when you're the sergeant, when you're the corporate owner, you can only F up. That's why he's up there going like this. My neighbor used to make fun of his own German Shepherd trying to mount the female who was neutered. And he wouldn't go near her because she'd turn around and bite him, and he called him Captain Air F. He goes, oh, look at Captain Air F going at it. And the dog would be holding himself off the female because the female would turn around and bite him every time because it hurt. She was operated on. Well, that pyramid is Captain Air blank with an F. So These waves, when you have a oscillating object going, a reciprosaur, sawzall, when you have that electric motor going like this, you have waves coming out as a result. When you have electricity going through a wire, through a conductor, this is the wire, you got the magnetic field around that. Those are the waves being created, the ripples in the pond. Okay, so we know that there's waves that go this way, that's transverse. And the waves that are caused through the up-down, those are called longitudinal. This ties into the planet. Get lines of longitude, which go north to south, and lines of latitude, east to west. It also taps into Genesis 31:10, rams leaping on ring-straked, speckled, grizzled cattle. Song of Songs, Song of Solomon, where it says skipping on the hills and leaping on the mountains. There's not too many times the word leap is used in the Bible. So leaping is the this, north-south, and skipping is the east-west. Once you understand the brilliance of the Bible, it makes perfect sense. People are like, what is this crap about Jacob putting these sticks in a trough where they were drinking water and it was causing them to reproduce? It's talking about electromagnetism and electricity. And the early founding fathers, Maxwell, James Clerk Maxwell, all those old timers knew it. They put it together from their Sunday school lessons. People, wake up. The church had its birthright. They gave it away. They gave it to the academics. It was all in there this whole time. Periodic table, periodic table. DNA, DNA, tribe of Dan. So, transverse are lines of latitude, which are left-right AC waves, skipping on hills. That means that the, let's see, transverse are lines of latitude, AC. That means the opposite for this is the T, there's longitudinal, is DC current flowing in one direction. Okay? And it appears to flow in one direction. I don't want to get into it. That gets it's very interesting. And they talk about what is the Earth? Is it a bipolar? And they say, no, it's technically a complex quadrupole. Okay, and I don't want to get into that. But essentially, transverse waves, which are left-right, on the planet are these ones. And the longitudinal waves are lines of longitude. So they match. Longitudinal waves and lines of longitude are north-south, DC. Okay? And the others are alternating. Technically, they both are DC and they both are AC. That takes a bit to explain, right? Because the Earth only spins one way, but it technically doesn't. Because if you look from the North Pole down, it's going counterclockwise. Look from the South Pole up, it's going clockwise. Same thing with the male, female, male, female, male, female. Okay? Time appears to be going forward only. All right? That takes a lot to explain. You have to be very dialed into electricity, electromagnetism, time itself, springs, objects dangling from springs, and pendulums. The stuff that the early physicists in physics departments in academia, the legit ones, back in the 1800s, the very basics. They studied the very basics. So I'm going to leave it at that, and we'll try to remember when we sign off to pick up things from other episodes that we didn't very well explain and throw them in at the tail end. But anyway, have a good day. All right, well, thanks for tuning in. Don't forget to hit like, subscribe, and check us out in the links in the description below.